she called and she got on the phone and she said, Cami, I need to apologize. I'm really sorry for all these years that went by. And, I kind of lost it because I wasn't expecting that. It was pretty gratifying to me to have her apologize. And it probably was some redemption for her to feel like, okay, I've cleared my chest of this now too. Not that it was going to matter in the sense of her living or dying.
But it was going to matter to you because you guys will go on. You're the living. My Girl Life podcast is sponsored by Glamour Boutique. Glamour Boutique is the leading name in cross-dressing fashion and lifestyle with a physical location in New Jersey and, of course, their famous website. Be sure to use your My Girl Life discount code MGL15. And listen, I know they have your best interests at heart, so check them out. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of My Girl Life podcast. Before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this episode if you like it. It tells me I'm doing something that you enjoy and allows me to keep doing it. So today I'm very excited to have Cami Richardson back in the studio and now with her wife, Teri. Welcome, you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Sure. Teri, thanks so much for doing this. There was such an amazing reaction from my other interviews that included wives. I think there's a lot of wives out there who have a lot of questions, who might be scared or worried about their husband's revelations, and hearing from other wives is super helpful to them. So again, thank you for doing this.
Sure.
All right. With that being said, let's jump in. So Teri, when did you first find out about your husband's desire to cross-dress?
I guess it was 2009. We had a conversation. Cami, I guess, bravely came out and chose to share how she felt and, take the risk in the marriage to share that information.
And on my part, it was quite scary to open up to her. I felt it was risking our marriage, which at that point was like 16 years. So it was a big step.
How did you muster up the courage? Or did it just happen and you felt like, at this point, I got to say something? Or was it completely out of the blue and you just mustered up the courage to tell her?
It was a lot of soul searching, a lot of realizing that, I had been hiding this from her for many, many years, and just felt that, it was time for me to come clean, so to speak. And so I kind of talked to her about it, and luckily we're still here together after another 16 years.
That's awesome. That's great. So how, when and how was that shared with you, Teri?
Well, I guess it was shared at home. I kind of remember sitting in our back room having her say that to me and not really understanding what that meant specifically, because I think you asked us if I'd had any exposure to cross-dressing or transgender people. So in my own life, I did not have that exposure. But I mean, I certainly knew, I guess, people dressed. I didn't really know about transgender other than later on when Bruce Jenner came out, or Caitlyn.
So, so you actually had heard about cross-dressing. You hadn't really heard about trans, but you knew of cross-dressing at least?
I just think so. I don't know if we, when you, in the historical term, transvestite is more.
That's the actual medical term. Yeah.
Is it still the medical term?
Which
I didn't
I don't
realize
know,
that.
but I don't like the word.
Yeah, it is. Why?
I think it is. I think that technically is the word for cross-dressing. I don't like it just because I think of the era that I grew up in, probably you grew up in. It never was a positive thing. It was the person on the street corner type thing. Yeah, right. I didn't know the difference. So I really don't like that term even today.
Right.
Yeah, I can remember one Halloween in Park City. I was dressed not as Cami, but I was dressed as a female. And I can remember on Main Street walking by some guys and they called me a transvestite. And I was like taken back. I was like, what? But luckily the terms have changed. It's not quite as ruthless.
Yeah, I don't think people really know that. I mean, the short version tranny is used and it's derogatory. I think people probably know more of that than any of them, right?
Yeah.
Or they think they know.
They think they know. Absolutely. Great point. And I'm still learning about all this. I don't have it all figured out. I just got off an interview with my best friend from college and he had lots of questions. We've talked. He's known for years. But yeah, I told him I don't have it all figured out, and I really try. I dig in. And so I don't think I'll ever fully know. I understand a good deal of it, but probably don't understand. Cami, do you fully understand your situation? And gender dysphoria is an even more complicated thing than just cross-dressing.
I think I do. I mean, it's been a long time now. And, where I live, my community is so accepting and everything. I don't have a lot of issues with people making fun of me or calling me names or anything like that. So I've been around the block. I'm almost 72 years old. So, there's not.
Do you find as you get older, you don't give a shit as much? I mean, I think you always kind of wondered why, older people will just kind of say what's on their mind. I know it's partially a cliche, but there's some truth to it. And I think it's like, I just don't care anymore. I'm just going to tell you how I feel.
Yeah, I have a lot of that. I think Teri can attest to the fact that, I'm pretty outspoken about things. And, in today's society, in today's politics, I mean, you better have thick skin because, we've been under attack, obviously, and it can make people uncomfortable. And we got to move on.
So go back to the cross-dressing. So did you guys talk about it after? Well, let me ask you, Teri, what were your thoughts? Not the moments, not the days, not the weeks afterwards, but the months afterwards, maybe the weeks afterwards. What was your feeling and what was your reaction then versus right when he told you?
Well, I probably had to take some time to understand that. I think, how do I put it? I don't know that I think Cami more thought that she was not so much a cross-dresser. She then got, eventually, we had rules, I suppose, like now it was my burden and we were hiding it. So for me.
Yeah, good point.
Like Cami was still not out at that point, but, it was still now I have.
How did that feel? How did that feel holding that in and not being able to tell friends and family or really confide in anybody?
It was depressing. It was, you shut off a part of yourself, I suppose.
It was hard.
The part that wants.
It was hard because, everything we did after that point, relative to me dressing, we couldn't do in Park City. We're just too well known. She works at a medical clinic and I'm Cami and, people know me. And so we couldn't go parading around. So we would have to drive to Salt Lake and, have nights like that, which were fine and they were fun. But then, after a while, that gets old too.
Teri, were you doing that because you felt like you just wanted to support Cami, or at some point did you actually enjoy it and kind of, because I always say there's people that, whether it's dressing or the trans, that are tolerant, which is one level, and then supportive, which is another level, and then actually participate and enjoy that side of the person and participate in it. Do you know which category you were in then and or you were in later on?
Well, initially I was probably, I forget the first stage you mentioned. Eventually, I became
tolerant.
Yeah, I was tolerant. I then became, I don't know how anyone defines supportive in the sense of, okay, if you want to go out, in Salt Lake City or somewhere out of town, thinking, she could get away with it and not be seen.
Right.
Yeah, I was supporting it. I wasn't happy about it. Still, I was uncomfortable because in my mind, and probably still somewhat to this day, I did not want to be viewed as a lesbian couple.
Well, I was going to ask that a little later on, but just wondering how you felt with, not how you felt internally, but how you felt other people were going to perceive you, even though maybe you didn't feel the same way other people are going to perceive you. And I think you just partially answered that. What did that feel like? And what were your worries about society or the community thinking about you?
Well, I mean, here's a classic comment. I have nothing against anyone and their sexual choices, but I would think, society, was viewing us early on until Cami also probably became better at dressing, better at the choices she was making for makeup and things like that to pass. Versus in the beginning, it was like
heavy makeup, slutty dresses.
Well, I just had this conversation with my friend, and we were talking about presentation, and I it's not lost to me that, when somebody's not presenting, so like when I go out, I want to be Barbie. I want to dress like Barbie, and I do it on the weekends, and I don't have gender dysphoria, and I don't want to transition. And that is way different than somebody else. They feel like a woman trapped in a man's body. They just want to be a woman, and they just want to put on some clothes and go to the grocery store or go have a drink and not get all dolled up. But society treats them much different than they treat somebody like Maddie. And I've experienced, because when I started dressing, I was not very good at it. I don't think that's fair. I think the ones that just want to be women, they're the true McCoy. They're the real McCoy. But society, like you said, society is going to treat them different. And I was curious how, you were worried about how that's going to reflect on you personally, which is totally valid. I don't think that's a selfish thing at all. I think it's very, very valid.
I think we, were hiding it by going down to Salt Lake, and, we didn't really have the fears of people up here in Park City getting to see us. So,
until you got seen.
Until I got seen. But, it worked out that way for us. It was, but after a while, short of going to Vegas to different trans outings and stuff, it was pretty much a secret that we kept for, the better part of 7 years.
Teri, was there ever a point when you thought, I can't do this?
Well, I would think naturally, I would have to say probably almost each morning on my way to work, it's a quiet time. So, your brain just automatically shifts into thoughts. And I wouldn't say I thought of it in the sense of I can't do this and leaving. It was just more like, how am I going to do this? And who am I?
Okay, which is much different than I don't think I can do this. It's like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
You may not know, but at least you're thinking how.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of work to shift, I guess, my brain into acting whatever I thought my normal self was when I was around other people, and certainly family as well.
Did you feel like you had to kind of tell them that I'm not a lesbian and like kind of justify your position with friends and family?
There may have, I don't know.
Even if they didn't ask?
I don't know, honestly, if I can remember that. I don't feel there's moments where, like, if you get into a deeper conversation with someone, which I don't, I'm pretty private, so I don't often have deep conversations like that. But I think my side of the family more so really didn't understand it at all once they did find out. And, that's a whole nother story.
I'll say.
Right. Well, let's transition to the transitioning. Do you see what I did there?
That's good.
Let's talk about the transition. So, Teri.
Yeah.
How did Cami present that to you? Where and how did that get presented to you?
Well, I think it got to, well, first of all, where she was working, she felt very accepted by those people. And I'm not sure why you shared with them your being transgender.
Long story short.
You mean never comfortable? Were you dressing, Cami? Were you dressing at work?
No. Long story short.
What do you mean by they were comfortable with Cami?
Just probably more so as a person, but I worked as the executive director of a Jewish temple, Reformed. And that's right. That's a very accepting part of the Jewish religion. And so it was something that I didn't really have to fear once we ultimately got to the point where I said, hey, I want to come out full time at work. And it went well.
Gotcha.
Right.
And
well, Teri, so how did you tell? How did she tell you? Was it a sit down? Here's what I'm doing, or was it I'm confused. Here's what I'm thinking. I just want to let you know what's going on in my head, or was it more of a clear cut plan?
Well, I think there's a lot of years in between all of this, so it's not like a conversation. It's part of your life now, and it's always an ongoing conversation of, I've gone to therapy. Me and Cami has gone to therapy. She's at least professionally been identified as a transgender woman, and so it's not just a phase. And of course, people can think lots of things are just phases, and it's not like there was a solid.
Did you think it was a phase?
I think when she went to therapy, obviously, if it had been a phase, she'd been doing it a long time. So I don't think it was a phase.
Right.
But the other thing that coincided, I believe, with Cami's telling her where she worked, which was going to be extremely public, she did, and I'm not sure which came first, quite frankly. She did an article as Cami in our local paper. So that kind of forced
grease the skids, if you will.
Yeah, the publicity of I maybe, of course, would never be ready to share that, but now it's in the newspaper. So now I got to share it because I'm not so that's what happened.
Yeah, we had.
Did you understand why Cami felt like she had to share that publicly?
Yes and no. I mean, of course, there's a part of me um, that would like to, I guess, and who knows why, kept it a secret forever. But obviously, if anybody cares, it's a great sense of relief to finally publicly have that off your chest.
Yeah. It was a big relief. And when I was told I was, by the therapist that she could classify me as transgender, then she said, now what are you going to do? And it was like, oh, what am I going to do? And that's when
that's like the dog who caught the car.
What do I do now?
What do I do now?
So we had a long talk at that point, and it was like March of 16. And, I asked her, what does she think about me coming out full time? And, we talked a lot about it. It was a big decision. It was certainly going to be impactful to her, to her family, to my family, because nobody else knew really. And so we had a big outing here at our house. Probably 30 friends came over, and I can remember standing next to her trying to get people's attention. And I'm thinking they're all going to think that we're getting divorced. And maybe we should have, because we got through it fine. People were very accepting that night. Some weren't afterwards, but, that made it really simple when we could come out and tell people. It's like you've experienced yourself, Maddie, knowing that when you finally tell somebody that's close to you, it's a huge burden off your shoulders. It's thank God.
As you probably know, I just finally told my two boys, and I've been wanting to do that for about 5 years.
Right.
And, one of them was going through some stuff. They were in college. I'm like, they don't need to deal with this now. And I finally got up the courage, told one, and then I told the other. And to your point, huge, huge relief.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't see them that often. It's just knowing that they know is just a huge relief. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, no, I get it. I felt the same way when my daughters were told, So,
well,
yeah,
being authentic, and you're hiding more of yourself than you've already been hiding.
Well, and in my experiences have been almost all positive, except nothing's been really negative. A couple, my brother in particular, I think is probably in the tolerant category, but everybody else has been great. In fact, our relationships have, a lot of them, gone to a deeper level, and they've started to be vulnerable with me, and it's made our relationship even closer.
Isn't that awesome? That's great.
Yeah, I think people feed off of that. Had no idea that would be the case, but now that I think about it, when you're vulnerable, when you do something with somebody or act a certain way, then they feel comfortable doing the same thing to you. It's a wonderful feeling.
Right.
Teri, did you know when Cami was going to make that speech? Did you know Cami was going to make that speech at that party?
At our party? Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was that like right after she told everybody, and then you went back to mingling around with everybody with this news in the air?
Oh, it was interesting. I think a lot of our let's see, I was kind of a metrosexual in the sense that I used to dye my hair and shave my body. And, it wasn't like there were indications that I might have been headed that way as trans. And so a lot of people just came up and said, I knew it all along. And I'm like, okay, great. But, that night it was a nice evening. I had a good friend who owns a bar here in town, and called me up the next day, and he said, I've been studying this all day. I need to talk with you. So the next day we met at his bar, and he did his homework. He asked a lot of good pointed questions. And
my son did that, and I appreciated it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. To this day, he's one of my dearest friends, and he's a staunch Trumper. And but yet I can go up to him and we can have a drink
I
and
love
chat,
that.
and everything's fine.
There's a person at this bar I go to every Friday. It's kind of my cheers. And it was a pretty conservative bar. And one person in particular, I came to find out later, was pretty appalled when Maddie walked into the bar. And I sat at the bar kind of there with the regulars. And a couple of the bartender and then another woman made me feel really comfortable and included me in the conversation. But long story short is that person is now a friend. He gives me cards when my parents died. He'll hug me when I come into the bar. I can even sit at the bar if nobody's there yet, and it's just him and I. And people don't know if he's with me or not. He doesn't care. I'm probably more self-conscious than he is for him, not for me. And that's just a wonderful feeling. And he's very far right.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
It's a nice feeling.
Being visible is the only way we're going to make a difference, and especially in today's world. And so we got to be out there. We got to be ourselves. And if ask the questions, you answer them the right way, and hopefully we can convert some people into believing that, oh, okay, these are normal people.
Right. That's like, I think this person I'm talking about, the next time he sees or has seen Maddie's of the world or trans women, he might think a little differently because he knows one and he likes one. And we're not all crazy and weird. And well, a lot of us are weird, but you know what I mean? Yeah, I just think it's a great feeling. Teri, do you mind sharing the story of your mother and what she said to Cami there at the end? Are you comfortable?
Yeah, sure. I mean, she...
And kind of set it up why that became a very critical moment for Cami?
Well, about a year ago, my mother passed away. And so I was in Florida with my siblings with her as she was had made her own decision that, she was at the end of her life and she wanted us to deal with that. And so she was making phone calls to my brother's wives, to grandchildren, things like that. And I wanted to ask her if she wanted to call Cami, but I was glad she, on her own, decided she wanted to talk to Cami because I didn't want to put, it's her deathbed. I didn't want to put any additional pressure on her. And so,
but to backstep, she wasn't accepting a Cami, or I can't remember Cami in our interview. Was she not accepting?
She was
up until that point.
No, she was at that point. Well, so she thought she was at that point for about a year and a half. I mean, all these years. Once my parents found out, she had made a promise. My father passed away before her, and she had made a promise to him that she would not go back to befriending or loving Cami. So it took years, obviously, to convince her. I thought during COVID, while people are dying, she would see some importance of that. Not
some humanity, yeah.
And she still held out during that time. And, it's just like any of us. It just takes time for a person to wrap their head around it. And in her history,
if they ever do, some people never will.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly was surprised she finally did. I don't know what made that change other than some years in between my father dying and me really rarely ever pressuring her, but I put limits on the amount of time I would spend with her because of living across the country. And, if she wasn't going to see my spouse, then I wasn't going to come any more often than, I already was coming.
Right.
It was a big step for her, for sure. And
so share that moment.
Well, I didn't I got on the phone, and obviously Teri had told me that she was on her deathbed, and certainly didn't expect her to come out and open the conversation with, Cami, I'm really sorry that I did this for so many years. And she was apologetic. And I mean, you can just imagine how I felt, the redemption that I felt, after 6, 7 years of not having her as my mother-in-law. She loved me like her own sons. And so it was a pretty great feeling. I get emotional when I talk about it. Um, it was pretty special. So I didn't know what to expect. Teri, called me and said, Mom wants to talk to you. And I had seen her a few times before this, and she was accepting of Cami. And so we got together with her, but we never had that really deep conversation between us as to why did she do this, and, her reasons and my explanations. So we never had that conversation. And then she called and she got on the phone and she said, Cami, I need to apologize. I'm really sorry for all these years that went by. And, I kind of lost it because I wasn't expecting that. It was pretty gratifying to me to have her apologize. And it probably was some redemption for her to feel like, okay, I've cleared my chest of this now too. Not that it was going to matter in the sense of her living or dying.
But it was going to matter to you because you guys will go on. You're the living. It matters to you.
Right.
She was giving you not a gift, but she's like, if I don't say it now, she'll never know it.
Right. It was a gift, really, for me. It made all the pain of all those years kind of easier to accept. So, and she was a great woman. And, you can see through Teri what kind of daughter she raised in Teri, in that she's so accepting as a person, of me. And I'm truly thankful for that.
Teri, I think that's how the majority of people, and you probably know this, will view you in high regard for being accepting and loving somebody for them, even through the changes. I think it's very admirable, and I think most people who you would even care about would think the same thing.
Well, I'm sure there are some who do, and some who don't understand. I mean, there's definitely took time for some people to try to wrap their head around why would I stay. So,
I mean, we all
and they may never understand. It's not theirs to understand, but to be supportive. That middle bucket. At a minimum, they can be supportive. My friend, again, he must have said, I don't understand it 20 times. But he supports me. He's glad I'm happy. It makes him happy.
Right.
So, subject change. The community events. Teri, have you been to Cami, what's the other, not Wild Side, but Divas?
Yeah.
So what events have you been to with Cami?
Oh, well, I've been to both of them. I don't honestly anymore. I don't make a habit of going. I would say it's not because of the community. It's because I am an older person in my body and I don't stay up, and, they're just,
I hear you.
They're partiers, and that's great because for them, for some, this is their only time to truly be themselves.
Absolutely. Yes. For some, it's the only time they dress.
Right.
And I experienced that. I would dress at home in private, but when I got to go to Vegas and be out in public, and it was amazing. Right. A great feeling.
It's exhilarating. Yeah.
I can't do, I do TGR now. I can't do Wild Side and TGR. It's a lot, and Wild Side's a whole week. I can't do a whole week. I can do 3 or 4 nights in a row, and I'm down when I go out on the weekends. I go out Friday nights and sometimes do something on Sunday. So I'm down to 1 or 2 times a week, which is great. And I'm thankful for that. Some people don't get to even do that, but yeah, it's a lot of work and it is a party atmosphere. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as though I think it's interesting. It's not as though I feel like, well, I don't want to be around these people or anything like that. I'm with a bunch of teenagers who, when you discover who you are, I mean, Cami was, now she's probably a person, even though she chronologically says she's 72, she's probably really a person at this point in her 40s. Initially, she was an adolescent. So,
That's a great point. I've not often, but sometimes I've said, I think I went through puberty again, and growing up and discovering who I am, as Maddie, right. Not sexually, but yeah. I think that's very insightful. And, yeah, it's an atmosphere that's, for some it's old hat and for some it's brand new and they're just like a little kid in a candy store. And, right. I do, this year at TGR, we're going to have an event for the wives and partners that come with their partners, have a lunch where they can meet each other and talk. And I even thought about doing a panel where they can ask questions like I've been doing with you and Heidi's wife, because I think there's a lot of you out there with these questions.
Maddie, you should do that. Seriously.
Well, they're already planning it. I was going to add the panel to it and then maybe even, so just do a panel, but
I think it'd be
Davina was going to schedule it.
Yeah. Be great.
Good, I'm glad you think that. Hey, Teri, do you guys go shopping together? Do you help Cami with her shopping?
No. I don't care. I don't care about Cami shopping other than I think she shops too much. I'm not, for me, I'm not, in my mind, I'm not vain. I don't, and I guess it's because I've always been who I am. I haven't ever questioned my, persona. So, of course I've questioned it in the sense of growing up and thinking, oh, I'm unattractive or blah, blah, blah. But, now, as you said, being an older person, some things get to a point of just trying to be comfortable in your own skin. And Cami's sense of fashion is very different than mine.
I'm laughing.
Well, I will say part of the fun is being able to buy the clothes. And I mean, it's way more fun to shop for women's clothes than men's clothes.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, men's clothes are pretty boring.
See, in fact, just yesterday, I got a new pajama set, shorts and top. She looked at it and she went, "Are you kidding me? That's never going to fit you."
See, Teri, you need to go shopping with her.
She shops online. Cami's her own person.
Yeah.
And she has proven she's going to do what she wants to do when she wants to do it. So,
in defense of my style, I mean, and Maddie, you know this. I mean, I'm pretty mainstream. I'm around town. I don't dress out of character in Park City. You'd look silly if you walked around in high heels.
Right. You know how to, dress appropriately.
The same way with you in Denver. You go out, you try to look the right way. And I know what that look is for me. I know what works for me. And that's what we do.
Yeah, I totally get it. Let's close off here with talking about your advocacy efforts for the community, because I know you do a lot. And Teri, I don't know how much you're participating in all that stuff, but you want to talk about your advocacy?
Me or her?
You.
Me?
Both.
Well, I'll go first. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge advocate. I've started a group here in Park City called Summit Pride, and it's grown into a big group. And, just the other day, Teri does support my advocacy. She, to go to the Park City Parade is a lot. You can't just pull up and get out of your car and bring your stuff and march. You got to plan it. And we did that last week beforehand. She helped me get there. She, supported me with it. And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen a smile on her face as big as when you're marching down Park City's Main Street with 25,000 people cheering for the LGBTQ community the way they do. And it's true love. And watching her smile and laugh, it was awesome.
What was that like, Teri? How did you feel?
It's fun. I mean, you know, part of it is trying to encourage the people on the sidelines to also be okay with, I guess, the LGBTQ, you know, and community. And I guess I just look at it like I'm marching in the parade. I don't look at it like I'm in a particular group of people, because I just see it as we're a group.
Yeah. I mean, advocacy.
What I like.
Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Cami. Go ahead.
Well, advocacy comes in a lot of different forms and ways. And over the years, she has supported me in so many ways. I mean, last year I ran for county council. She stood right behind me. And, you know, there's just a lot of things that I do that are important to me for our community. And she supports that. And that's her way of showing her own advocacy by being my number one fan, so to speak.
But it's not because she's transgender. It's because she's Cami, and it's important in the things that she wants to do. If she had stayed as the person Tom, I would still be, I would
support that person. Yeah. Yeah. You're seeing the person.
Right.
I've been to Pride in Denver a couple of times, and I actually was going to therapy for a while. I'm not a huge fan of therapy, but it's kind of fun to just talk to somebody and get feedback. But I was telling him, and he was in the LGBTQ community, I was telling him how fun it was to see the people at Pride just being themselves, and the energy and the smiles on their faces, and same at the LGBTQ bar I go to, Tracks, on the first Friday of every month. There's just a hodgepodge of people, and it's all walks of life, and they just are, you can feel the energy. And I'm sure a lot of those people have to hide who they are all week, right? They can't totally be themselves, or maybe they hide everything. And then they come out and they can just be themselves. And I kept saying they, and my therapist stopped me and goes, oh, wait a minute. Why do you keep saying they? You're part of that community. And I guess I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, my sexuality hasn't changed, but I am part of the community. I may have one foot in it, but I still, in my mind, it's they. And he kind of called me out on it. But the point is, it's fun to see that energy. I'm sure that many people at that parade, the energy was very similar to what I saw in Denver Pride.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is not a Pride parade. It's a 4th of July parade. So, you know, there's 60 organizations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, but there's a lot of love for us. And, that's, you know, we're a different kind of community. You know, we're kind of in Utah, we're, you know, the wolf out there just doing our own thing up here. And so, you know, it's fun to be part of a community. And I admire you, Maddie, for all you're doing for the LGBTQ community through your podcast. You're making a difference. And I hope that people that see this interview with Teri and I, who are getting close maybe to the same situation where they need to tell their spouse, or their spouse has been told and wonders, you know, what is this going to be like for me? That they can see this interview and pick up something from it. You know, it's very difficult. As you know, many marriages in the transgender community don't survive. And, some of it is just the makeup of the people, but it's also their ability to accept and love. So it's great that you're doing this.
I think them being able to listen to you guys, if nothing else, gives them hope. that it can work.
Yeah.
It's not
I mean,
it's not
I won't
an
say
automatic,
we're
I'm going to get divorced.
yeah, I mean, that's certainly it could have gone that way. I thought about it when I finally did come out to her, that it might wind up in a divorce. And I'm glad it didn't. You know, we have an amazing life together. We travel. You know, she's supposed to be retired, but still working a little bit. But we have great trips planned, and our life is only going to get better. And it's great that I can do it with her because I love her.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to end on that note.
Well, thanks, Maddie.
Teri, thank you very much. Thank you, Cami. I appreciate it. That does it for us today.
Awesome.
And I hope everybody enjoyed it and got something out of it. And remember, be bold, be kind, be you.
Thanks, Maddie. Appreciate you. Bye now.